When I first saw trailers for Star Ocean: The Divine Force, the thing that got me into it was the fact that you could fly in it, alongside its vast explorable worlds that looked fun to do that in. Then I tried its demo and found its characters and dialogue enjoyable too, so when Square Enix offered to send me a code for it, I was very happy as it meant I could try more of this interesting looking world. I had a few questions I was saving for when I tried the Divine Force in full, such as which protagonist I would choose to journey with and if the flying was as fun as it looks, so while I won't be reviewing it for a bit, I hope to answer these questions and more in this video as I take a bigger look at this interesting story of planets, exploration, and discovering new characters in its world. Regardless of which protagonist you choose to play as, from the confident Raymond or the curious Laetitia, the story begins with the same basic premise. Raymond's space vessel is suddenly attacked while on a transportation mission that forces him and his crew to escape via escape pods to a nearby underdeveloped planet, where Raymond eventually wakes up alone in this brand new place. This new place is filled with monsters and locals such as Laetitia, who is mystified by many of the technologies that Raymond has brought with him, and offers to help him find his crewmate Chloe that brings these very different party members together. This begins the journey as Raymond explores this planet that is new to him, with Laetitia's kindness and curiosity helping to lead the way as they set out with different goals in this vast and unique world. In the demo of the Divine Force, you're only able to try the beginning of Raymond's story, so my main goal of trying the full game was to decide which route I want to play for when I eventually get into it. I tried a bit of both routes to help me understand how different they were, and in the first hour of each I didn't find too much difference, although ultimately I was able to choose a route thanks to how each story was framed in its opening moments. I felt Raymond's had a better introduction to the circumstances the story begins with, as he's directly in the action, whereas Laetitia happens upon him, so while we get to know that she has a very different upbringing to his that means more context to the world, there wasn't much to frame what was going on in the beginning, and I preferred knowing about people like Chloe that Raymond was referring to, as your first main goal really is to find her. So for me, the extra context in the beginning felt better, that made me decide to continue with Raymond's route going forward. It doesn't seem to matter too much though, as you can switch characters in both exploration and battle, and the two characters are together pretty quickly as the story starts. So no matter who you choose, the main story of Star Ocean: The Divine Force will be mostly similar if its first hour is anything to go off, and I'm glad to feel good about my chosen protagonist when I play and discover the many things that make up its world. While I did come to like the Divine Force for more than just its flying, with things like its wonderful fantasy language contrasted with modern speech being fun to hear in its dub, I was very excited when I got past where I got up to in the demo and finally got to play with that flying, and it did meet my expectations as a pretty fun feature. There are challenging points scattered on the field that help the Duma device that lets you fly be upgraded that encourages you to explore places high and low. It also calmed my fears that I could use the feature too much, as the world seems to be designed wanting you to fly around and use it. Because of that, its areas are fairly vast, with plenty of surprises above and below, meaning things never feel too linear even as you make your way to the next part of the story. And while I wouldn't recommend picking up a game just because you want to fly in it, it is pretty fun, and if you want to get a feel for it, it is in the demo, so I recommend giving that a try to see if it and the rest of the game interests you too. As my time continued with it, I did find things beyond the flying that made it look like a pretty intriguing JRPG overall that really does have me hoping I get to spend more time with it. I saw hints of a relationship mechanic of sorts in the form of private actions that are events you can choose to have with characters outside of the main story that at first seemed like just extra side events, but can apparently lead to different character endings that make them exciting to discover. It reminded me a little of older Atelia's character endings in the way it can add a bunch of replayability to get each one, and considering each protagonist's route has an exclusive party member, it gives good reasons to try both if you want to see everything, so they'll definitely be something I think about when I get more into the experience. The battle and upgrading systems were fun enough too, even if I still feel like I haven't completely settled into them yet, as I do early on in most JRPGs. The battle system can feel hack and slashy, but actually has you equip individual skills in a combo chain that means you do have control over what's going on, although I wonder if I'll end up remembering all these things I equip or sticking to the same 3 attacks mapped on one button, as it is really easy to do that. I also wonder what I'll do with my SP, as it can be used both for gaining stats and skills on the skill tree and for strengthening skills. skills. I found myself prioritizing unlocking things on the skill tree for now, but I wonder if that's the best use of it in the long run. Since I'm barely up to changing my equipment at this point though, it's likely this will become clearer as I keep playing, and in any case there's certainly a fair bit of depth to challenge players that makes it go beyond dashing to enemies through the air to make for a proper JRPG system that I'm keen to play more with. Finally, I also wonder if its small flaws will end up bothering me in the long run, as surprisingly they really haven't so far. I noticed in the demo some of the mouth movements don't exactly match up with the English dub, which is uncommon in games these days, and aside from that, for some reason while I love the doll-like look of its characters, in cutscenes the characters can sometimes look a little wooden, leaving Divine Force and its high-quality graphics somewhere between being a slightly janky JRPG and a pretty modern one. I actually feel this gives it a charm of its own in its own way, but I suspect this comes more down to personal preference, so again, the demo is a good way to test if this is a problem for you, and as for me, since I'm knee-deep into Trails of Zero right now, I won't be playing more anytime soon, but I can say that these things didn't put me off enough to not want to play it. The Divine Force's first couple of hours were a good introduction to its world that I look forward to flying and exploring more with in the future, and it seems like it'll be an interesting world that should be fun to explore whenever I get the time to get properly into it. Star Ocean: The Divine Force seems like a big and interesting JRPG so far. It's got that flying that encourages exploration, a lot of deep JRPG mechanics, and moments that can lead to different character endings, and has been a good introduction to a JRPG series that I knew next to nothing about before now that has me curious about this game and the rest of them. I'm glad I was able to try both routes of this one to help me feel good in my decision to play with the more confident and casual Raymond when I get to it, and the fact that all the characters seem likable so far with the different ways they speak makes me curious to see how they'll grow in the campaign, along with meeting the many other interesting looking characters who all have great designs. The Divine Force has intrigued me enough to hope that I can fit it in somehow before the end of the year, and its story of planets and what becomes of Raymond's ship and comrades has me excited to understand more of its world. I'm glad to have been able to try it and wonder how many of you guys ended up trying it too, as it seems like an interesting world that will be fun to soar in and explore in when I get the chance to enter its vast world again, and I'm glad I could try more of it to make me look forward to whenever that is. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to try Star Ocean: The Divine Force, and if you have, what did you think of it? You can like and share this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel for more JRPG content like this, and ring that bell to get notifications on whenever I post so you don't miss a thing. You can check out more videos here, and you can find me on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at JRPG Jungle. Links to those will be in the description below. Thank you to Square Enix for the code, and thank you to you guys for watching and making these kind of videos possible. And until next time, thank you, bye!